They say when the trees swallow the silence whole, whispers remain that only prepared ears can hear. If you've ever felt that something breathes behind you when you're alone, maybe you heard it right. I'm Miles Carter, documentary filmmaker and hunter of silent sounds. A few months ago, I heard from an elderly woman in the village of Hollow Creek that this forest has ears, son. If you tell it something, it remembers. From that day, that sentence stuck in my mind like a thorn. Now Jade and I, with several cameras, audio recorders, and a map more like a dream than reality, decided to enter that forest, a place where legends say people disappeared when they stayed silent. Early in the morning, we set out. Misty air, the smell of wet earth and decayed leaves. The pale sunlight filtered through twisted branches, like a memory not yet fully erased from the mind. I turned on the camera. The recorder beeped, and my first words were, "If you watch this video until the end, maybe you'll understand why some sounds never go silent, even when no one is left alive." Our steps echoed on the wet ground. Jade moved ahead, her backpack heavy, but she said nothing. At first, the forest was unnervingly quiet. No birds sang, only a cold breeze shook the branches. Sometimes I felt sounds bouncing back from the tree trunks, as if the wood itself were alive and listening. The trees stood in uniform rows, yet every time I looked, some had shifted. I mentioned it to Jade, but she laughed and said, "Miles, the mist is messing with your mind." I was certain, however, that the tree with the crooked branch hadn't been there a few minutes ago. We soon reached an area marked as an old traveler's rest, but all we saw were decayed wooden posts jutting from the soil like nameless graves. One post had something carved into it, "We remember for you." Jade whispered, "I feel like we're entering a place no one else should." I said nothing, just turned on the audio recorder. In the absolute silence, a very faint sound registered, like someone breathing near the microphone. Yet all around us, there were only trees. The next step, just one step, and a sound came from beneath my feet. A leaf or perhaps an old bone breaking. The forest seemed to hold its breath. No other sound, only my heartbeat racing. That was the first moment I truly felt the forest watching. Around noon, sunlight no longer pierced the canopy, as if the forest decided the day was over. Mist thickened, and Jade looked at the map, its lines blurred. She said, "Miles, this path used to be straight, now it twists, as if it changed itself." I said nothing, just lifted the camera. Through the lens, the mist became like waves, alive like moving smoke. When I focused, for less than a second, I saw something between two trees, a thin, hunched shadow moving very slowly, as if it did not want to be seen. I said, "Jade, look there." But when she turned, there was only a tree. Nothing unusual caught her eye, so I checked the footage, as in the video the shadow wasn't there. Only the sound of wind and my breathing was captured. Yet a faint whisper lingered beneath, something between two incomprehensible words. "Listen," Jade said. "Maybe it's just environmental noise." But I was sure someone, or something, was speaking. Not from outside, but from within the sound. Our steps became heavier. The leaves were wet, the ground slippery. We came across a massive fallen tree in the middle of the path. Something sharp was etched into its bark. She walked alone, but not unheard. I said, "This must reference a local tale." Jade asked, "Which one?" I began recounting the story. The girl who walked alone in the forest. She narrated how a witness reported being lost one night, hearing a calm voice among the trees. "Come closer. You are not alone." A shadow had passed through the branches. When she turned, there were footprints beyond her own, light, yet deeper. The air around us simultaneously grew colder, as if the forest itself was listening to our words. Jade said, "Do you know what's strange? You're recording your own voice." But the voice from the previous recording was slightly deeper, as if someone was repeating you. I smiled, but it was artificial, because that sentence exactly repeated in my own mind, with the same tone from a side where no one was. Minutes later, when the wind stopped, absolute silence fell. As the recorder continued, I said, "If you're still watching this video and have made it this far, take a moment and hit the like button. This might be the only way to know someone out there is still listening." I breathed. The forest didn't respond, but in the silence from afar, slow footsteps approached. Not one, but several. And every time we moved, those steps followed us. The light dimmed. The mist began to flow into the path. When I looked back, our previous route was blocked. The trees had turned, like living pillars. Jade said, "Miles, I don't think we can find the way back." I replied, "Then let the forest find us." The forest now felt timeless. Neither day nor night. Light spread like gray dust over the branches. And the farther we went, the closer the trees became. It was as if nothing wanted us to leave the path, or perhaps it didn't want us to return. Jade walked a few steps ahead, then suddenly stopped. I asked, "What is it?" She didn't answer, only pointed at the ground. The footprints had doubled. But even more terrifying, the extra footprints were coming toward us, not forward. My steps grew heavy. I breathed, my voice caught in my throat. When I lifted my head, the mist parted, and something stood between the trees. Tall, thin, face hidden in darkness, neither fully human nor fully shadow. It didn't move. It just stood and watched. Jade didn't scream. She just said, "Miles, don't lift the camera." But my hand moved on its own. The lens focused, and the image on the screen broke, as if the light itself was afraid of that thing's face. In the video, only a vague shape remained, and a voice was clearly heard. "You must not say its name." We split into two. Jade went east to find a way out. I went west. But the farther I went, the closer her voice sounded. Screams, then whispers, then laughter, and finally a deep voice merged with her own. "Miles, I'm here. Don't look behind you." My breaths grew fast. My hands trembled. When I turned back, only the recorder lay on the ground, and in the headphones, a soft whisper played. "It's still watching." At that moment, the recorder suddenly stopped, but I could still hear footsteps in my ear, precise, regular, right behind me. I turned. No one was there, but the ground was wet and the footprints still fresh. From the sound of a branch snapping in the distance, I turned back toward the path and saw Jade running toward me in terror. Her face dusty and bloody, she shouted, "Miles, I saw myself out of the forest." Her eyes shook. Someone with my appearance was looking at me, but their eyes were black, completely black. That night we stayed in the middle of the forest. There was no sound, no birds, just the wind and our breathing. We stayed awake until midnight. I turned on a small flashlight with trembling hands. Its light spread over the branches and reflected on Jade's face. But in the shadow behind her, another face appeared. A face exactly like hers. Jade said, afraid, "Do you see it too?" I said, "Yes, but it's not her, it's in the shadow." A few seconds later, the light went out, and when I turned it back on, Jade was gone. Only the camera was on the ground, still recording. On the screen, a tall shadow slowly passed by the lens. If you are still watching this video, I want to ask you something. Have you ever heard a sound without a source? A whisper, or even your own voice coming from somewhere it shouldn't? Write it down in the comments below this video. But for me, this was just the beginning. Because just as I decided to go back, on the way out, Jade's voice came from behind the trees. "Miles, why are you leaving? The video isn't finished yet." The camera fell. The image blurred. The last thing recorded was eyes staring directly into the lens, black, deep, and alive. And now, if you dare, watch the next videos and follow along. 'Cause every viewer who stays becomes part of the third voice.